Today we're going to make some spectacular tool marks. Hi, I'm Kent and welcome to Turn a Wood Bowl. Today we're going to make some spectacular tool marks. Now, why would we want to make tool marks? Not to mention spectacular tool marks. Well, tool marks just happen, right? Well, not really. There are specific reasons why tool marks happen. And if we aren't curious enough and investigate what's causing our tool marks, we could just keep repeating those tool marks forever and ever. And I don't know about you, but I don't want tool marks on my bowl, and I don't want to spend countless amounts of time sanding out tool marks. That's not fun either. So I want to make nice clean cuts. But in order to do that, we have to understand how tool marks are made. And then I'm going to show you how to fix the tool mark issues and how to turn correctly so you don't get the tool marks. But before we can do that, we've got to go make some spectacular tool marks. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's take a look at our first tool mark issue. All right, with the lathe running, you can see these really well. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. You can also see them here, but it's really easy to see when it's turning. We have these grooves or lines. It looks like an old record with all of the different grooves in there. This is a pretty common tool mark that will occur. Now, what is causing this? This has to do with the pace of the bull gouge going quicker than the rotation of the lathe will cut the wood. So in other words, the bull gouge is advancing faster than the rotation of the blank will allow it to cut an area. So our pace is too fast. We're moving the bull gouge too quickly for the rotation of the lathe. Okay, so how do we correct these grooves that were created from the bull gouge pace being too fast? Well, there are two ways to do that. We could just slow down the bull gouge pace. So instead of moving as quickly as I was, I can go slower. And you can see here that I'm allowing enough time and enough rotations for there to be a nice smooth cut. And you can see the difference here when I'm slowed down the pace of the bull gouge. Compared to earlier, I've got this nice smooth cut versus this rough grooved cut. Now, the other option is to keep the pace as fast as you did initially, but increase the rotation of the lathe. So if we take the lathe speed and bring it up a bit, now keep in mind, we don't want to introduce new vibrations here. If you've got any questions about the speed of your lathe, be sure to check out my video about lathe speed. I'll put a link up in the top corner for you to take a look at that. So now with the lathe speed turned up, I can move the bull gouge quicker and still achieve a nice smooth cut. So the first issue that we have with the bull gouge making bad tool marks is the pace of the bull gouge moving too quickly. So two solutions to that: slow down the pace of the cut or speed up the speed of your lathe if you can, and if you can do it safely. All right, now I'm going to make a particularly really annoying tool mark. This tool mark annoyed me for the longest time. Let's see if you pick up on how this is created. It's much more subtle than most of the other tool marks that are created. Did you see it? Probably not. But let's look in here closer. Now, you see that? You see these waves, these ripples? Yeah, that's a very annoying tool mark. And you can see how it's basically changing the texture of the wood. So these are high, the tops of these ripples are high and they're low. They're going in and out, up and down. And it's really going to, over time, it's going to get much worse, because as I try to move the tool across that, the tool is going to ride all those waves up and down, and it's going to keep accentuating those waves. So what is causing those tool marks? I'll tell you what, let's take a look at it one more time. I'm going to do this one up close. There's a little clue there. Listen to the sound. Most of these tool marks will create a sound that is going to be distinct, and you want to be listening for the different sounds as you're cutting. And you can see the tool vibrating now on those waves. Here's what's really frustrating with this, because it appears as if I'm riding the bevel and everything's fine. I've got the tool rest nice and close, so I got good tool rest support. I've got the flute angled towards the cut, the push cut we're doing. It looks like everything's fine, but what is the problem? Let's take a look at the surface here. Let's look at these tool marks. Yep, there are those waves. They're getting bigger and they're very pronounced. If you could feel this, you can feel right across here and feel all those waves. They have this really rough tool mark texture that's occurring here. If I move the light down the side, you can really see those tool marks. All right, so what's causing these tool marks? Well, even though it appears we're riding the bevel, and we are riding the bevel, what I'm doing to create these tool marks is I'm applying force in towards the bowl blank versus down on the tool rest. Now, if I make the same cut and I focus my force down on the tool rest instead of into the bowl blank, what's happening, this bevel is being, what I did earlier is I pushed this bevel into the bowl, and that rubbing is causing the bowl blank to create a pattern and where it's spinning and creating this waveform. Instead, I need to be forcing down on the tool rest and let the bowl come around and simply be shaved off with the shear cut or the angled cut of this bowl gouge. Let me show you what the cut should look like, and let's correct that. Now, the other thing that's very subtle with this is you need to pull your handle out just a bit. I'm going to exaggerate here, but you can see where the bevel is right up here on the tip of the tool. You basically need to rotate your handle out a bit, not quite that far obviously, but you don't want to be pushing the heel or the bevel into the bowl as you're making the cut. So let's make a nice bevel riding supported cut, but without pushing into the bowl. Now I'm going to put force down into the tool rest. You can hear the sounds different too. That bevel is just following the cut, but it's acting as a guide, but it's a light, gentle guide. It's floating or just riding gently behind that cut to guide your cut, but it shouldn't be pushed into the bowl. Let's go ahead and look at that finish now. Now all those waves are gone and we have a nice smooth finish. So that particular tool mark was created by forcing the bowl gouge into the bowl instead of down onto the tool rest. Okay, let's take a close-up look at probably the most common tool mark issue. I'm going to go ahead and create the tool mark here. Let's take a look at it. Okay, let's take a closer look at this tool mark and how it's created from a little bit different angle. We're looking straight down on the bowl gouge here. All right, Now, I may have exaggerated it a little bit, but when we first start out, it could feel like that's how we're cutting, and it's very frustrating. So what is creating this tool mark? We can obviously see the tool marks here. What is creating this? Well, we're not riding the bevel properly. Instead, we're rotated and we're up on the tip of the cutting edge of the bull gouge. Instead, we want to bring the bull gouge back by moving the handle back towards our body and make the bevel parallel to the cutting surface. Let's take a look at how this will look when it's cleaned up and cut properly. I'm going to start out over here so we get a good, fresh, clean cut. You can see how the cut is progressing and that bevel is parallel to the cut surface. That is called riding the bevel. I have a video all about riding the bevel. You can check that out if you'd like. Okay, so there you can see we have a smooth surface compared to what we had before. And it's all because we're making that bevel perfectly parallel to the cut surface. We don't want to be riding the tip, and like the previous tool mark that I showed you with the waves, we don't want to be letting that heel rub, or we don't want to be pressing the bull gouge into the bull cutting material either. Be sure you're riding the bevel and not on the tip of the tool so you get a nice clean cut. And be sure you bring that handle back just a bit to make that bevel level. If you're seeing those tool tip riding tool marks across the bull gouge, then just bring the tool back just a bit to make that bevel parallel with the wood surface to make a nice clean cut. Okay, here is a relatively common tool mark that occurs up on the rim of the bull. And not only is this one annoying, but it can be very startling as well. Let me see if I can recreate this. But what happens is we get up here and we present the tool as if we're going to maybe start making another cut inside or shape the rim here. And we get this kickback. And it can happen very quickly and be very, very startling. Let's take a look at that again up close. So here we are looking at this rim kickback really close now. We present the tool and we get this quick jerk back to the left, and the tool just kind of skips out of our hand. And what it does at the same time is it messes up this rim and makes these nasty tool marks. Now, of course, I made multiple ones here, but it makes really nasty tool marks all the way around. Now, what just happened? Well, I actually have a video all about how to prevent these skip backs, and I go into great detail about why this happens. But to cut to the chase, what we really need to do is we need to close the flute. So let's look at this flute a little bit closer. I'm going to use this popsicle stick to show you the level, or show you where the flute is oriented. What caused the kickback was the fact that I have the flute angled at about a 45-degree angle here. Or if we use the 12 o'clock position as being the flute straight up, I'm at about the 1:30 or 2 o'clock position. And when I bring that tool to the rim, the end grain will kick this tool back out, and that's what makes that kickback. So to prevent that, what we need to do is we need to close the tool at 90 degrees when we come across that rim. So instead of being open like this, we need to close the flute completely to 90 degrees. Now, let me go ahead and make a clean cut across here and clean up that rim, and I'll show you how to cut the rim without getting that kickback. Okay, so now instead of leaving the flute open, I'm going to go ahead and close it and make the same bevel riding cut across the rim. So there you can see that just simply closing the flute presents that cutting edge in a way that it doesn't kick back when we're making that rim cut. So if you get a rim kickback, be sure to close your flute instead of leaving the flute open. That way you won't get that kickback and that nasty tool mark that tears up the rim really bad.
If you're liking this video, please do me a favor and click that like button below the screen. Thank you.
Okay, this tool mark issue leaves a nasty rough edge here, and this is kind of related to the too fast of a pace tool mark that we saw earlier. Let's take a look at this one and I'll show you what happens. As you can see, I'm leaving a really rough edge here. Now, for roughing out a bowl, this isn't a really big deal, but if I'm trying to make a nice smooth finish, then this is an issue. So what's happening? If you saw, what was actually occurring is I was biting off much more than this bowl gouge can handle. I was taking too deep of a cut, and I was kind of moving pretty quickly, but the main issue is the fact that I'm taking a deeper cut than this bowl gouge should take. Let me do it again so you can see it up close. You can see the cut I was actually making is taking up almost the entire left side of the nose, and that's a large bite to be taking out with any bowl gouge. We changed the size of the bowl gouges based on what we're doing. So a larger bowl gouge is great for roughing the exterior of a bowl, and a smaller bowl gouge is better for making nice finishing cuts. However, if you just lighten up the cut with any bowl gouge, you're going to get a nice smooth finish. Let me show you what that looks like now. So now I'm going to take a lighter cut. I'm not going to cut as deep and as aggressive as I was just a moment ago. This is a push cut. I've got the flute angled towards the cut at about a 45-degree angle. And I'm riding the bevel. You can see I've got a lot lighter cut going on. I've got nice shavings coming off. The surface is smooth compared to what it was before. Let's take a look here. There, you can see a nice smooth surface versus the deeper cut that was leaving a rougher surface. But again, that's okay if you're roughing out a bowl, but if you want a nice finished cut, you need to take lighter cuts and not be so aggressive with the bite or the size of material that you're removing with each bowl gouge pass. When you're working the interior of a bowl, especially a small bowl, you may start seeing little lines and ridges popping up, and you may be riding the bevel the whole time. And this can be really frustrating because it's really kind of an unknown what might be happening. Let me show you what the cut looks like and we'll talk about what's happening. So if I start here, you can see these ridges forming. Let me move the light a little bit so you can get a little bit better example of this. But you see these ridges forming in here. All right, so what's happening? I'm riding the bevel. I'm making a nice smooth path over there. I'm not riding on the tip of the bevel, which we know causes tool marks. Here's what's happening. The size of this bevel is relatively large compared to the shape of this small curve. So what's occurring is the same time my cutting tip is engaged where it should be, the heel is rubbing and burnishing behind me. And sometimes actually the heel is kind of pushing the cutting tip up out of the cut. So I'm getting these burnished marks from the heel and I'm getting areas where I'm coming out of the cut. So what can we do to prevent this and make a smooth interior cut on a small radius like this for a smaller bowl? Well, there's one little trick we need to do to our bowl gouge, and we'll go over to the sharpening station so I can share that with you. Okay, so what's happening is this bevel is too tall or too wide to get around that tight radius. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce that heel. Now we don't need an exact angle or an exact measurement. What I do is I use the platform as a little bit of guide. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rock the heel on the sharpening wheel. And this is my more coarse wheel. This is an 80 grit CBN wheel. And this is going to grind that heel down, and we're going to reduce the height of that bevel so that we can turn a tighter radius. I'm just holding this against the platform with my thumb right here, and I'm rotating the handle with my other hand and just making a nice gentle rocking motion back and forth to grind this heel away. All right, it's getting there. I'm going to take a little bit more off. Okay, that's looking pretty good. You can see how it's reduced the overall height of that bevel edge. So let's go ahead and take that back to the bowl and see how it does. Okay, so now I'm going to take the heel reduced bevel and I'm going to present that to the bowl at about a 90-degree angle to start the cut. I'm going to do a light cut. And I'm just going to bring the handle around. And there are some real light burnish marks there, but much lighter than before, and those will sand out very easily. The big trick here is, like that other tool mark, we don't want to be pushing into the wood as we do this. We want to just guide that cutting edge around very gently as we pull this handle back. It's like kind of like steering a rudder on a boat when we bring this handle back around and make the curve of this cut. We just want to make it nice and gentle and ride that bevel all the way across. Okay, the next type of tool mark issue we have is going to be somewhat specific to a thin-rimmed bowl. What we have here is a thin-rimmed bowl that the interior is almost completely removed, and we're going to try to work this thin top rim. We need to be really careful here because what's happening is when we have a thin-walled bowl like this with nothing in the inside, those walls are going to flex, so it's going to make a lot of sound and it's going to be difficult to cut properly. I want you to listen closely to hear what this sounds like. Remember how we talked about listening for the sounds. Not only are we going to hear those thin walls, but we're going to hear the walls move away from the cut. So they're going to be cutting and then they move away and they come back to the cut. So there's going to be a clicking or a vibrating sound as well as a thin walled sound. And there you can see we've got material that's being pulled away from one side, but not here because this area was most likely flexing away from the cutting edge. And you can see here we have skip marks. There's almost little dashed lines in here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's almost little dashed lines right here from when the tool is missing, skipping and missing. Now, the only way to really avoid this is to leave a mass in the center of the bowl or to leave thick walls. And then thin the wall down in a small section, leaving that mass there. Move the mass down a little bit, move down the wall a little bit and match up that thickness and continue down the bowl without returning to the top edge. So once you get the thickness the way you want, you leave it there and then continue to match that thickness all the way down while you remove that mass. The mass in the center of the bowl will hold the bowl together and keep it from flexing much, and it'll keep it nice and tight. So it's a really good way to make a thin-walled bowl very securely and have good, smooth walls without tool marks on them.
Okay, so I hope this video helped you understand that tool marks don't just happen. There are specific reasons why tool marks happen. And there are some basic issues that kind of seem to be common. One of them has to do with riding the bevel. Now, I have a video all about that. You might want to check that out. If we're not riding the bevel, this tool is not going to perform properly, and we're going to have issues. We're either going to be up on the tip, which is going to be scraping across the wood, and it's going to be leaving tool marks, or we could be pushing that heel in and be leaving burnishing marks too. And actually the burnishing marks can be worse because those are hard to sand out. Because what you're doing, you're crushing the ingrain fibers when you burnish with the heel. So we don't want to push either. So that's why some people call it floating the bevel. I like to call it riding the bevel, but it's the same thing. That bevel is essentially a guide for our cut, and it just kind of glides behind the cutting edge. You don't want the cutting edge to be going into the wood, but you also don't want the bevel going into the wood either. So it just kind of floats and glides or rides right behind the cutting edge. So that's a technique you really want to nail down really good. The other one is don't push the tool into the wood when you're making the cut, because that's going to give you those little swirl marks, and those swirl marks get progressively worse. They can happen on the outside of the bowl or on the inside of the bowl. And as you keep trying to do that, if you're pushing in, you're going to keep repeating those and making them more dramatic as you make those additional cuts. So the way to get around that is just to make light cuts and put the pressure down on the tool rest, not into the bowl itself. So I hope these examples have helped show you some ways to solve your tool mark issues. I know when I was starting out that I had several of these issues occur on a regular basis, and it was very frustrating. But it wasn't until I stopped and paid attention to what I was doing and figured out how I can correct that I overcame these issues and made these things, these tool marks, a thing of the past, which is great. Because once you get past these and you can make a smooth surface on pretty much any turned bowl, you're going to have a great time making all of the bowls that you enjoy making. You might want to consider checking out my wood bowl turning start to finish online e-course. In that course, we use the bowl gouge to turn bowls, and we're turning bowls together. They're very reasonable sized bowls that anybody can turn, but we're using the bowl gouge. And as we progress through the lessons of that course, I'm going to show you different techniques with the bowl gouge, and you're going to build up your confidence in the use of the bowl gouge. And you're going to see that the bowl gouge is an amazing tool that can help you do pretty much anything you can imagine when it comes to turning. So check out that course. I've got a link in the description below. All right, guys, I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope you've had some great takeaways here that you can apply directly to your turning today or whenever you turn next. And don't forget, I've got a website that's just absolutely loaded with information about turning wood bowls. If you're curious about turning wood bowls, or if you're deep into turning wood bowls, you're going to want to check out this site. It's turnawoodbowl.com. If you've liked this video, do me a huge favor. Click that like button below the screen right now. I greatly appreciate that. That's a huge help for my channel. And if you see any other videos of mine that you like, also click that like button on those videos too. Thank you. And if you're not subscribing, click that subscribe button and click the bell. That way you'll be notified when my next videos come out, because you're not going to want to miss them. I've got tons of great information that's going to help you turn the wood bowls that you imagine. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, until next time, happy turning.